Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup podcast, episode 154. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
2025 is looking standard, John.
Standard. It's looking very standard.
It's looking very standard. And we'll get into that. We're going to be talking about how Magic seems to be setting up to bring standard back in a major way in 2025. And I'm here for it. I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to be talking about it a lot on the podcast, I think, throughout the year. So this is kind of the kickoff of that, almost to the point where I was going to be like, hey, John, what if we just turn this into a Magic podcast?
I mean, isn't it?
It kind of already is.
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, and all the other games we look at and play, but mostly Magic.
Yeah. So if you have thoughts on that, leave them down in the comments. Let us know. But especially after the discussion, because I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
It will be a weird year. There's no doubt.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm excited to podcast during this year. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But we're also going to be talking about some Pokemon, about how I lied, Star Wars, a little bit, and Flesh and Blood a little bit, and Sorcery a little bit, and of course, we got some economics at the end.
Yeah, some interesting economic signals that are not, typically headliner signals. So I'll talk about that a little bit if you're interested in some of the weird, more obscure things that people have looked at in the past, and what that indicates. Stick around till the end.
I always am.
Yeah, and then I think it's interesting to point out that a lot of the stuff in these other games we're talking about, at least in my opinion, is going to tie to markets more than like gameplay and stuff like that. So
yes.
If you're interested in that aspect, stick around for that.
Yeah.
Including some out of stock announcements, which some people probably know about.
Yeah. But we played a lot this week.
We did. It was fun. It was a good week. It was a good week for playing games.
Yes. Do you want to talk about yours? Because you had a whole day.
I had a bunch of stuff. So first, the preamble, I suppose, was at your place. You let me test my awesome Yasan deck, which is like a 5 to 7 turn deck. It's not fully optimized. I know a way to make it faster, but I don't want to make it any faster. This was the one meant to slap down the tryhards. It tutors, it kills real fast. Tommy got to experience it firsthand while playing my dragon deck, which is my other nasty, really fast deck. And I realized that it's not fun to play in person.
Too much shuffling.
A lot of tutoring, right? Yeah. Like, that's his power, is to tutor. And you know what? Doing that in physical is not as fun as using a search bar on digital.
And then hitting a button to search.
Yeah, exactly. It's way easier to tutor online than it is. So I ended up not playing it at the game day. So the premise is I asked Tommy to practice with me so I could, get used to playing it in physical. And he said, sure. And he played my dragon deck, and I tried to play it, and I realized, wow, this sucks because I don't like tutoring in real life as much as online.
I mean, you still won, but...
I did still win, and it was about turn 5. I went pseudo infinite. It's not an infinite combo, but it's definitely close enough, because a lot of things are like untap once.
Yeah.
But if you get 2 or 3 of them out, that's untapping 3 times, meaning you're pulling 3 different big creatures out. It's close enough to infinite to not matter. But yeah, it sucks to play physically, so I decided not to play it in person. We did 2 rounds. I was very proud. Isan won the first one, turn 5, and Tommy on Dragons won the second one around turn 5 too, I think. Basically, I didn't manage to find the pieces I was looking for with Isan, because I guess I'm not familiar with all the lines well enough, and also Dragons popped off turn 1. I saw that coming too. As soon as he Soul Ring turn 1, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
the clock is ticking with dragons. I know how this works.
I mulliganed once and then drew into a perfect hand, or just such a smooth mana curve and I was just like, yeah, okay, this one's mine.
Yeah, and the biggest weakness with dragons is everything costs a lot because it's dragons. But yeah, when you get those kind of killer starts, I was like, immediately, as soon as I saw the Soul Ring come out turn 1, I was like, uh-oh. this might be a race. And then I don't remember what it was, like turn 2 or something, you put something else out that was also kind of a powerhouse ramp. And I was like, oh no, this is real trouble. Was it the dragon that reduces the cost of other dragons, or the kobold maybe?
Yep, there's like a 1/3 that reduced dragons by 1.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, this is like really, I'm falling behind in the foot race. Like I knew, and I know it's a 5-turn deck, my deck, and I'm like, I don't know if 5 turns is enough, like if I have enough time. And I did not. Dragons won, which is cool. It was awesome to see that, Yusan's not invincible by any stretch, and it's awesome to see my dragons go off.
Sometimes you just don't draw.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that you can, smooth out the numbers of everything to make sure that at least you draw something, but it's card games and it's 100 singleton. There's gonna be
it's meant to have some variance. It's not supposed to be completely consistent, which I like.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyways, I didn't bring Yusan out at the game day, even though that was the whole build up and practice and all these decks I built for game day. I ended up only playing one game of Magic. Ended up playing board games instead, which is pretty cool. I got to play Worm, which is that I don't know if you've played it. It's a very popular game with birds. I don't remember the name of it. Wingspan, something like that.
I've heard of it. I haven't played it.
Yeah, it is very fun. It's like a little engine builder and token placement thing. Wingspan apparently has some flaws in it, and Wormspan, which is based on dragons instead of birds, same sort of mechanics though, is apparently kind of 2.0. Like they found the mechanical holes from Wingspan and fixed them for Wormspan, and it was fun. It took up most of the day, but it was a really good time. I ended up getting second place in that. But back to Magic, got to play one game. I decided to bring out Mishra instead of Yusan. Mm-hmm. That was a big mistake because the tryhard deck of tryhard decks came out, which was dinosaurs. And if anyone knows dinosaurs, they're one of the easiest to build and also one of the most powerful out there. And it sure was.
Is a lot of it from Ixalan?
That basically opened it up a lot more, but there are key cards from other sets.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, a good chunk of the super powerhouse ones are Ixalan, the latest Ixalan. But the key there was he got Savala out, no one killed it, and then he got a dinosaur out that basically anytime you hit a dinosaur, it does, I think it's 5 damage or something like that, to everyone or to anyone or target of choice or something like that. It's a raptor, red raptor. And when he had both of those out, what happened is he started to build a board state. Savala helps him dig, and he had something else that like let him look at his deck before he dug or something like that. So he was able to kind of like specifically dig for protection. And so we had no way. We tried to either board removal or targeted removal specific key pieces 5 different times, and he stopped every single one. Like he blinked once, he hexproofed once, he indestructible once. Like he just did all these things every time we tried, and all 3 of us were going at him trying to figure out how to clear his board or at least slow him down, and it was way too late. So the lesson learned was kill Savala immediately in that deck because it's freaking gross. I probably did the most as far as board state because everyone else just kind of flubbed. It kind of like it was a bad game overall. Like everyone failed to get their stuff going. I got the most stuff going and I still failed. And then and while I was trying to figure out a move on him, he showed that he got what the heck is it called? The green card that's hexproof and indestructible. Heroic Intervention? Yeah, Heroic Intervention. Mm-hmm. He showed that he got that, but I wasn't paying attention. I was like, what was that? Okay, I didn't hear it. And I went to do a blasphemous act, and he's like, you don't want to do that. I was like, why? He's like, because I just revealed I have Heroic Intervention, and all my dinosaurs will be indestructible, and you all will take that much damage each time, or something like that, whatever it was from that raptor. I was like, oh crap. So basically everything got countered, and or you can't do that or you die instead sort of situation. It was one of the lamest games I've played in a long time. Everyone was like, okay, I scooped, this is stupid. It's like, I hate when that happens. Like that's the least
that's
fun.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Now the good thing is I have since played again, and he, 1, brought a less powerful deck, 2, specifically said, I'm trying to be less salty, salt inducing. like I think he got the message, right? Like, which was the whole point of the sand deck. So even though I didn't use it, I think he got the message like, yeah, you can win, but you can win so much no one wants to play with you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, winning isn't the game. The game is trying to make really fun games happen, which is hard because the balance is all over the place with Commander. So anyways, point being, it was a happy new year, some good games, and some lessons learned by tryhards to make a more balanced pod, which just keeps making our pod better. Every time someone comes in and does this, and it's fine. Like, I get it. When you're new,
what happens.
Yeah, you're new.
Feel like you don't know. Have to catch up.
You have to figure out how to play the best. Everyone's better than you. You got to figure out what the best moves are, and then you realize after a very short period that it's actually pretty easy to make really, really killer decks.
Yeah.
And no one likes it.
Yeah.
So you end up having less fun. He got salty on our next set of games. I played Slimefoot, and I targeted him a little bit, which was fine because he was actually getting away. So we kept trying to keep him down. I think he ended up winning anyways. And then the next one I played Mishra, and it was an epic game. One, he was unable to get his engine fully going, so that allowed some room. And the other player was playing the Astartes Precon. I don't know what that one is. It's some
40K.
Ultramarine or something is the commander. Yeah, right. But basically it makes tokens. It's a token storm deck. And he got going, and I was letting him go, because I had a Psych Rift in my hand basically from like turn 2 or 3. And so I'm just waiting to get to the mana base. I get to the mana base. I'm managing board state. I'm building up a pretty big board state, so people aren't really hitting me. Like, that's kind of my key, pillow forting a little bit. And then we get to the kind of the end all. And that was the other thing. By building my defenses and not being aggressive on the other player ended up managing the tryhard a bit, which got him down to like 7 health. And so I was basically trying to let the board play to a state where I could wipe them both out in one turn once I Psych Rift. That was my mindset. He's getting mad at me. He's like, you're not good at targeting or reading the board state. It's like, well, you don't know what's in my hand, bro.
Exactly.
Like, I'm reading it exactly how I want to read it. And he's like, you should target him down, all this. And like, I don't think he's gotten to the point where he realizes that part yet. He'll get there. But he was being a little salty at the end. And he's like, oh, you can't just target decks based off the decks. It's like, yeah, I say those things, but that's not really what I'm doing. It's okay. I didn't explain it to him. I'll maybe explain it to him later. But anyways, we get down to the like last game. He's down to 7 life. The other guy's like 20 or something I can get to if he's empty boarded. But he creates like 17 1/1 tokens in that turn and swings with another 15 or something like that. He goes all in on me, and I'm like, all right, this is my opportunity because I can't stop him. I have to Psych Rift. And I was like, I didn't want to do this because I feel like it's kind of rude, but I'm going to do it. And he's like tapped out. It looks like I Psych Rift. Turns out he has 3 artifacts up, one of which is a color producer, which I didn't see. I thought they were all colorless. I was like, so he can't counterspell me? So one of them did produce any color, and he flashes in. There's some, I don't know, Ultramarine or something blue card that counters when it flashes in. And he countered my Psych Rift and kills me. I'm like, oh.
Oof.
It's like, that's so good. That is a perfect end in my mind, right? Like, it's down to the last move, right?
Yeah.
And then it's the chess, and it's playing on the stack and like actually outmaneuvering and thinking about how people are going to react to things. Like, that's my favorite Magic, and it was so good. I love losing that way. And so it was really fun. Unfortunately, Tryhard was a little salty about it and whatever, but he did, I was like, I gotta go. And he's like, oh, I'll be less salty, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, no, it's not you. Like, you're fine. I understand why you're upset. Like, I get it. You felt targeted. I was like, I just have to go. He's like, oh, okay. So, but the point is, like, that kind of attitude of, like, trying to make it fun for everyone. It's
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, that's the point. That's the hard
That's
part,
why we
right?
get together.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to make it fun, trying to get a close game like that. Because he's like, you could have gotten him earlier and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but then we wouldn't have had that epic ending. Like, I wanted him to hit you.
It's a story. It's telling a story.
I wanted him to hit you. I wanted you both to be weak. And letting you guys fight each other, that's playing the board. Not the decks, not the specific board states, but the people. And that's what I love to do. It's so fun.
Yeah.
So, it was good. It was really good games overall. The one Dino game felt kind of lame, but, whatever. It happens, and lessons were learned, and lots of fun stuff.
Yeah,
it was good.
And we drafted Baldur's Gate and had Commander that way.
We did. Baldur's Gate draft was pretty fun
once we learned the rules.
Well, yeah, once we didn't like totally fail because
Yeah.
we totally failed on that first try.
Yeah, we messed up the initiative and how
It passes
yeah
back and forth
passes
when you
back
get
and
hit.
forth. Yeah, yeah,
So Tommy got all the way through the dungeon, which is nigh impossible in
Yeah.
a game of Commander.
Yeah.
And before we realized that, oh, we should have been passing
yeah.
initiative every
So
time we got hit.
we reset.
Yeah.
It was fun. I
was.
really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was good. I don't even remember what my commander was in that. I know we had the
I had Ganax and background.
Yeah. Mine was a blue background that let me create birds or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, when I hit the fairy dragons, the one that creates the fairy dragons.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah. I don't remember what my commander was though. I think it was just like a shoot. I don't remember what colors did I play.
Green, blue.
Was it green?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
Wilson.
remember. Oh,
Wilson.
It was Wilson. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The bear.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Then I did some Dustmorn draft on Arena, which was pretty fun. It's in quick draft right now, so I was just messing around with it. Ended up with an all white mono white deck that was enchantment focused, and because I drew pack one, and like pack one, I was going Boros, and then pack two, I opened a second white rare that was really good that dealt with enchantment. So I had 2 rares, and then a bunch of enchantment and enchantment trigger cards. Got 4 wins, so it was okay. But I mean, for a mono color deck, it did pretty well, which was pretty interesting. That you can get there with a mono color, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I haven't lucked into Dustmorn that much. Haven't played. I didn't draft it that much because I think it was one that we were gonna Winston together.
It's fine. You don't need to limit yourself for that. I'm always going to be like, I'm not good at drafting.
I mean, that's why I did it.
I know. I
but
understand.
I think when it was out, I didn't because we were going to. But so that was fun. I'm enjoying that. Looking forward to doing that in person. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
A fun set. It's very similar to Wilds of Eldraine, which is another one I want to do because I just think enchantment focus limited can be a lot of fun, and those are sets that are very enchantment focused. And then I built a new standard deck, moved away from the Boros enchantment and went to just this mono red aggro go burr. It's wild.
It's mono red aggro go bird, like always.
Yeah, it's
tends to be pretty good in standard. Not always.
Not always. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There's it plays a lot of the Bloomburrow mice and one lizard and let's see. Give me a deck list. There's this one. Oh, where is it? Here it is. Screaming Nemesis from Dustmorn. Do you know that one?
No, I don't. I don't know many of the Dustmorn.
1 red, 2. 3/3 creature spirit. Haste. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any other target. If a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anti-life gain.
Anti-life gain, and don't swing with anything under 3 because this can block. And then, so you can use it defensively as well, really well, to manage a board. If your aggro is, if there's big things out there, because then it's how much damage it was dealt. So if you swing with like a 7/7 and it hits it, I can deal 7 damage to you.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to like the Heartfire Hero, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite cards in Magic. It's the 1 red mouse soldier, Valiant. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And whenever it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent.
Yeah. I had one of those in my my little random Slimefoot deck I played the other day.
And then the Manifold Mouse that has the offspring and can target something and give it double strike or trample. And then you still have like the Monstrous Rage, which at instant speed gives +2/+0, and then a monster token, which is +1/+1, and trample. And then your shocks, your lightning bolts. But then the land, it only plays mountains and Rockface Village, and Rockface Village is a huge part of it, especially with the mice, because you can pay 1 and tap it. So 2, target lizard, mouse, otter, raccoon you control get +1 and gains haste. So those Heartfire heroes that are coming in and usually would take a turn to then become a threat are a threat the turn they come out. And they're already going to be bigger. So basically you can give anything in your deck haste besides the Monastery Swiftspear and the Nemesis. But it's really fun. It's really cool. It's neat.
It sounds fun.
I've been enjoying that a lot. Which leads us into our main topic. Unless you want to talk about the things we opened.
Yeah, let's do the. I was thinking that was a good transition
to Standard. So I've really been enjoying Arena on Standard, and I think with Foundations they've really set a good roadmap for this summer's sets, like Final Fantasy and Amazing Spider-Man, that are both coming to Standard. I think they're setting up a really great way for Standard to come back in a big way. But I think it's basically, John and I were talking, and my thought process is that they're not going to be pulling existing players to populate Standard events. I think they're aiming for the new players, because I mean, that's, if you look at all their marketing for Standard, it speaks to the new player. Like, it tells them, hey, this is your format, because it has the smallest card pool of a constructed format in Magic. Because then you go to, what is it, Pioneer, and then Modern, and then Legacy. So
is that really the order of whatever it is?
Yeah. And then because I think Modern goes further back than Pioneer.
I thought it was the other way, but I don't
keep
up with the format. Yeah. So you're probably right.
But so I just think, like, they had the learning from Lord of the Rings, where Lord of the Rings pulled new people in, and then they built their Lord of the Rings deck, and then they look up events and they see that Standard is for the newest cards, and the Lord of the Rings just came out, so they show up with their deck and they can't play their Lord of the Rings deck in Standard because it's straight to Modern. So I think that was a learning, and I think that the Lord of the Rings is why we have these coming to Standard, because they saw the new player progression path, and it didn't work with Universes Beyond not being in Standard.
Yeah, and I think I just saw a recent thing. I think you're dead on, right? Because, okay, so Lord of the Rings was Modern, and no one's jumping straight to Modern, right? Because you're just going to get your face kicked.
Yeah.
So I think you're dead on that. And I just saw something from Morrow. People were like, why are there so much Universes Beyond? Why is it this, that, whether? And his comment was specifically that because it's working. Because it works. Like, it is the most popular sets of the year. I think he said Lord of the Rings was number 1, but Fallout was like number 2 or very close if it wasn't, as far as the amount of sales. So it's just, people love it. People are really enjoying it and coming in. One of the people in my pod came in because of the Warhammer ones, and he has like 3 Warhammer decks, which is totally cool. And they're fun to play against, so I don't give a crap from my standpoint. Even though, I was the grumpy old man, I don't like the IPs and my stuff. At the end of the day, I'm actually like, it's kind of cool. Like, a bunch of Space Marines there, and my Mishra is freaking wrecking them with a bunch of artifacts, right? Like, that's kind of a fun mental picture.
And there's more friends to play with.
Well, that too, right? It brings in different people with
Mm-hmm.
different mindsets, and we do other games together. So it's like our crossover into different worlds
Yeah.
happens more, right? Like, so it's actually all good, in my opinion. And I think you're dead on that standard is an easier onboarding. So get them with the IP, bring them into standard, so they don't have to buy too many cards, and it will be
And
those
the
recent
entrench, yeah.
cards. Yeah,
And it'll
and
be
then
standard, so it'll be standard power level, whatever that means for
yep,
2025.
yep, yep.
But it's
And then
not
it will
going to be
cycle.
modern. It's not going to be like it's. I don't think it's going to. I don't think these sets are going to be as powerful as Lord of the Rings.
I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know about the power creep answer yet. That's a to be
that's what.
seen
Yeah,
this year, I
of course,
think.
of
Yeah.
course.
But the reality is, whether it's powerful or not doesn't really matter as long as they're able to get into it. The cards are not too expensive. That's the key for
Yes.
new players, right? Because if they look at it and they're like, "I want to make a deck," and they're like $700, that's a no go, right,
Yeah.
for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, a couple $100, which I think they're doing a pretty good job at.
So
Just
that's
looking
where
at
standard decks are. There are the $700 decks, but
for the
there are
top
also
tier.
there are also top tier $200
Yeah.
decks. There's top
Yeah, that's
tier
what I mean. Like,
$95 deck.
yeah, and the reality is like the first time players, they may think they're going to be the world champion or whatever, but most of them aren't going to chase that immediately.
No, no.
They're going to chase, let's check out draft, let's check out what my local group is doing, this, that, and the other.
Exactly.
Maybe make a commander deck. Like, they're going to bounce around a little bit, but this gets them that first kind of kick into it with a competitive format that's actually interesting and they're pushing on. So I think it's really good in intro and starting pathway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's definitely gonna work to bring in new players, and then they'll all be commander players eventually. So that's fine.
Well, sure.
Once they get a collection going.
Well, of course, yeah. And so because I was looking at where rotations happen and when they happen, and they are really long now.
Is it 3 year or 2 year? I can't remember.
3 year.
Yeah.
And so.
And then foundation stays for 5+. Like, we don't actually know.
Yeah. Foundation is just going to be in standard for at least the next 5 years.
Yeah. So that gives time. That's that onboarding period.
Yeah, absolutely. But so the cutoff point is Ixalan will be no. What came first, Wilds of Eldraine or Ixalan? Wilds?
Yeah, I think we're Wilds.
The Wilds and Ixalan are gonna after the next rotation, which is February 26.
So a year plus from now.
Well, there is the next rotation in 2025 is gonna cut out Dominaria United and Brothers War. I had this up. Rotates out in 2025 is Dominaria United, Brothers War, Phyrexial will be one, March of the Machine, and Aftermath. So that's what rotates out this year, leaving the oldest stuff still in standard will be Wilds of Eldraine and Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and then the play booster stuff. So Karlov, OTJ, and Bloomburrow also rotate out in 2026. But it's the end of 2026? Fall?
Yeah, so it's like a 3-year period. That makes sense. 3 or 2. When did those come out? Maybe it's like closer to 3.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not really looking at boxes as much of the stuff that's rotating out this year, because I'd rather stock up on stuff that's still going to be in standard for a while as standard gets pushed. And with these new play boxes, I think those 2 draft boxes that are going to be left till 2026 are going to get pushed. Because how long are they gonna keep printing draft of those 2 when everything
they're
is
not
switched to
printing
play?
any of that anymore, I don't think.
Exactly. But it's still going to be around in standard and they have really strong cards that are very prevalent in standard still.
Now, don't mistake them not printing anymore with there being a low supply, because there's definitely plenty.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm trying to keep my sealed goals for 2025 are around draft and play boxes.
Yeah, I get you.
And so trying to get those now while they're still cheap. Because I think they will start to push up towards those play booster prices.
Which play booster prices, though?
They're all pretty much like 120, 130.
The old ones or the new ones that have less packs?
It's true.
Get it under 100.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see how those go out because
how they impact the markets in general.
Yeah, I'm seeing pre-orders from like 99 to 109.
Yeah.
But once it's actually out, we'll see. That will be interesting.
It will change the market. We don't know how yet.
Yeah,
excuse me.
Because you now have 3 tiers of things. You have draft boxes that aren't play packs. You have the large play pack boxes.
Play and then play 2.0, and that's the problem. The names are the same and everything.
Yep. The boxes,
we'll see what that
the
does.
pictures look the same.
Yeah, and even where they put the number of packs in it, it's real small. Like, it's not easy to find. Like, they used to have them like front and center on the part that folded up.
Yeah.
Now it's apparently like on the back of the bottom in like small print. So it's like, it's not super obvious. Now, granted, the sizes are different, so it is obvious from like 2 boxes next to each other. But if you're ordering online, that's a very different experience. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge. Well, why is this so much more expensive?
Mm-hmm,
and does that affect prices? And so there could be some arbitrage, or it could swing the other way and just be silly.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think it's going to be a big year for Standard, and it's just going to be all these new players. And then the benefit is then the not my Magic people that are heavily entrenched in Modern and the older formats, they'll be left alone.
Yeah.
Because these new players have a place to go. So it's like kind of a very happy, because like they wince at Standard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Well, and there was some frustration around Modern getting stale, so this will allow Modern to kind of have its own sort of ban cycle and stuff, and not worry so much about new cards like
every
locking
2
the
months,
format down, which is what was happening. So I think that will probably help with Modern, at least what I've heard. I do not play Modern, so I have no hard opinion on this, but I've heard, because several of our pod play Modern, so I've heard some of the complaints and like, oh, it's not firing anymore and that sort of thing. Because it was just too locked down, and then the bans happened, and that apparently helped shake it up a little bit. But I think it's already starting to lock down again. I want to say it was Energy and what was the other one that was really, maybe it was it? I can't remember. I know Energy was one of the things that was like, oh, that's now a powerhouse, and so it's probably gonna lock down the
from Modern Horizon 3. Which
it was. It was those new cards basically made Energy very, very good again. And the bans, there was something that got banned that helped lock that down or balance it out to keep it from being so powerful. But now that ban happened, it's now back to being a very dominant deck. And then of course it's like counter deck or whatever.
Yeah.
Counter meta deck.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to watch as the year goes by and see.
It's gonna be a fun year.
How it goes, yeah. But I did lie about Pokemon boxes last week. I said I wasn't gonna sell a bunch. I sold a bunch this week.
He immediately did the opposite of what he said.
Well, as soon as I said it, boxes started going up this week like crazy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about to just sit on the sideline for this one. Silver Tempest has gone up to like 250. Let me pull that up, because that is one that has recently sold out. I think it was like a month or 2 ago. Sold out on Pokemon Center, so it was only a matter of time till this started catching up to the other late Sword and Shield stuff. But just to give you an idea, in a 3-month snapshot, the low price was 144. So 3 months ago we were around 144. Now we're up to 250. Because that 144 was that Pokemon Center price. Is MSRP.
Sold just a little too early. Oh well.
That's okay.
I don't care. I made my money.
Yeah.
So I really like. I know for some people it's like a big, it matters, right? Like the money matters, and the extra couple bucks or percentages or whatever they can get out of it, it makes a difference. For me, it's like this is all somewhat funny money. So I didn't lose money. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Fusion Strike is pushing 500, which is crazy.
You still have Fusion Strike? I thought you sold all that.
I have one.
Oh, nice.
One left. And so I'm kind of playing a game if I can sell it for the price I paid for the case. So I put it up on TCG Player, but for the price that I paid for the case. So it'll be really funny. Or it'll be cool if the one box ended up paying for the whole thing. So the other ones that I sold for like 300, 250.
Profit.
Yeah. But
I still have. I know I have a case downstairs. I just don't remember which one it is.
If it's Paldea Evolved, which I think it might be, Sword and Shield V2. Those are up to 195, so like $200. Those are $200 boxes now.
We'll see what I have. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I have it listed.
And again, so last 3 months ago, these were 120.
Yeah, everything's spiking. So people out there, be careful. No, it's not listed. So either I sold it, which I don't think is true. I'm pretty sure I have a case down there, or I took it down after the sale. I should probably figure out what it is and see if I should list it soon, because it'd be nice to get rid of that case.
You probably should. And I bet you the cases are at a premium.
They were already at a premium at Black Friday. I would have made profit with fees and taxes involved. So it wouldn't be much, but it would be profit, which is, again, I was trying to get rid of stuff. So I was just like, okay, this is fine. That's why I listed it. But then I took it down because it didn't sell. But if everything's still moving up, maybe I'll figure out what that is.
Yeah.
It may not be Paldea. Which one's Paldea? Is that 2 or 3?
2.
Okay, I think that one's sold. What's 3?
Obsidian.
Obsidian, is that any good?
Yeah, that's actually been making some moves. I sold 2 of those boxes this week. That's up to 150.
Okay, I'll wait on that.
Like 160.
Oh yeah, This is, well, I'm not sure if this is it, but if it is it, it has moved up since I listed it last.
Yeah.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, just some interesting moves.
But this is the hype, guys.
Yeah.
This is the bubble you sell into. This is not the bubble you buy into, because it's how you get stuck with it. Unless you want to wait for 5 years, fine.
Yeah. And just
go ahead.
That old saying of be fearful when others are greedy.
Yeah.
I think that's going on. But I've also, and this is complete rumor, and there may be no truth to this. I meant to dive into this, but didn't. I saw a bunch of thumbnails on YouTube from new channels to me, not new channels, but new to me. YouTube was pushing a bunch of sports collecting channels to me for some reason. And they were all talking about how people in their communities are switching to buying sealed Pokemon.
That's, to me, that just screams bubble.
Exactly. And
we saw this before when all the money came into Fab and Magic.
It's just new money. It's new confused
it's dumb money.
Just
pure, doesn't know the game, doesn't know the cards, doesn't care.
No, just sees the numbers going up and gets in.
And buys it, yeah. That's where you got to be careful, because that usually marks the end.
Right.
Or close to the end, because usually that's everyone that has stuff for a long period and does watch this is selling into that money. And then when that money finally dries up, which can take a while, by the way, it doesn't mean it's over tomorrow. It could be 6 months, whatever. But when that money dries up, then whoever's left holding the bags is stuck with a feel bad as they watch the numbers go down, and they sell.
Yeah.
Kind of at a loss or quickly in ways that dump the market.
Yeah.
So we've seen that happen before.
Yeah. And I mean, when Pokemon enters a bear market, hey, I'm here. I'm back.
Well, that's the thing I'm thinking about. I'm like, I'm waiting to see when that starts and what it hits.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but expect that to last a couple years too, because that's typically the cycle.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 years to buy stuff at a discount. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I have looked at some of the older Magic stuff because it's kind of in that phase right now, and it is interesting to me. But I'm not diving into it. I think that's what that buyout dude that Voodoo was talking about is basically doing the same thing. I don't really want sealed boxes. I'll be honest. I just want cards that I can use. The more I look into it, the more I'm like, well, can I play with them? Because if I can play with them, sure, I'll get them. But if not, care. Like if it's actually a playable commander card. Unfortunately, most of the playable commander cards that are also old reserve list or whatever are already pricey, because commander.
Yeah. Oh, and that makes sense, like for your thing. But like with me, and then with my thing, going after draft and play boxes is one, I like limited, and so I want them for limited. And that's kind of my new way of looking at the shelf, is getting rid of things. It's that whole "does this bring me joy?" thing. And so if I cannot play it, it does not bring me joy. Every draft and play box I can play. It brings me joy. Some more than others, but as a collector, I like a variety. And there are different price points I'm willing to pay for different sets. Like I plan on picking up more draft boxes of Lord of the Rings before those go away. I think they'll keep printing those for a while, but we'll see. They have been pretty steady. But when it comes to standard, like the boxes I'm getting, most of them I'll be able to just play standard with. If I go down that path in 2025, I'll have a base of cards to get into it. And all the limited sets recently have been really good, so I've been thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed the Winston we've been playing. So
it just takes a while to get through a box. I still have a March Machine box. I'm so glad we opened that box and decided to draft that, because it's a really fun draft set.
It's very fun. Like I really enjoy that one.
I did grab another box.
Okay.
So went in 2 or 3 years when
which is fine. Like I don't mind.
Absolutely. I have enough draft boxes now that we could draft until 2030. But I don't know. Cool. One day, maybe when I retire, I'll just be like, I can now draft the rest of my life. Just
want to move into the indie TCG world
if we have to. Star Wars has been interesting. So I've been talking about on the past couple episodes, I've been selling singles on TCG Player. I got my first Magic order today. Every single one before was either Star Wars or Fab. Now, to be fair, it was mainly Star Wars and Fab that I had listed. But now I have a decent amount of Magic. But I'm not pricing it at the bottom. I'm just doing market, and then just what sells. I'm not in any rush with the Magic. But same with the Fab. But I've noticed just having the cards, like having a large inventory, just moves things.
Does.
So especially with Star Wars, right? So I wanted that to move pretty quickly because they're in my nice boxes, and I want those boxes for other cards. So I didn't just put up play sets. I put up, like, if I have 13 of a card, I put up all 13 with a minimum price of, I think, like 19 cents a card. Now the commons that I have like 50 of, I think I capped it at like 20.
Gotcha.
But people will buy like 10 of them at a time. Like I've gotten like 60 card orders for, like, people will buy, like yesterday someone bought me out of Sabine, bought 13 Sabines at like 50 cents each. So just interesting little things I picked up from selling that people are obviously specking on Star Wars still, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm torn on the Star Wars boxes I have because technically they are draftable, so they bring me joy because I can play them. But will I?
Yeah. Who are you gonna get to draft with you?
Brian. Brian would draft with me.
You have Star Wars people. Okay. Well then, yeah. Forget about it. Keep it. Enjoy it.
Yeah. And I'm all sorted. All the stuff we cracked this week, it's all sorted. Yeah. It's all logged. That felt
Love
good. That. Did pretty well on those Baldur's Gate collector boxes, actually, which was good. Pulled a bunch of dragons.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's right. The dragons and stuff. That's I said that when we were opening. I was like, I can't tell if any of this is good. I opened so much of this, like everything feels dull to me, like and not exciting.
Yeah,
I was like, I think I pulled some good stuff, but I don't actually know.
Yeah. It ended up being worth it. Definitely.
I opened multiple cases of collectors for that because it was so inverted. No one was buying the boxes. It was such a good open, but boy, did I get like tired of looking at Baldur's Gate.
That's fair.
I still have like 2 800s of singles that are for sale. They're all the cheap ones, but like it's just this bulk's for sale on singles in the shop. That's like it's a lot. It's more than most of the other sets that I have by like 2 to 3 fold. Only thing I have more of is Modern Horizons 2 because I opened the hell out of that. That was way back in the beginning.
Yeah, I have a box of that to draft.
Oh, that'd be fun to draft.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun to draft.
Yeah, I still have a box. Yeah, and then Fab singles doing the same thing. They're moving a lot. Majority of my singles orders are Fab.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you said you were selling a lot of Fab. Now, is this only like the M's or what's the story there?
Basically just the M's.
Gotcha. Okay.
M's and L's.
Because mine has started to slow down, but I'm also starting to run out of play sets of stuff.
And I think
I'm noticing most of my stuff that's left is like it's a foil version, a promo version, or an old version.
Yep.
Like, and that stinks. Oh my god. Okay, so I gotta tell you the story. So I've been organizing stuff, right?
Yeah.
And all this, and I sit down and I see one of those 1,000 card plastic boxes, that I have.
Yeah.
And it's on the shelf on the corner in like a weird place. I'm like, what the hell is that? I pull it out. It's a whole box of Fab. I was like, God, I just sold everything. Like I thought I was down to the last bits. It's a whole box of like first edition stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and it's like Arcane Rising Crew and WTR first edition cards.
Those are gonna be hard to sell.
I know. I'm like, damn it! I should have gone with the whole set that I sold to the store. Because if he would take any of it, which is a question mark, he would have taken some.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the way to get it done. Now I'm going to sell the singles, and it's going to take forever. It's never going to sell. Oh my god, I'm so upset. Like it is another 800 cards because the box wasn't 100% full, but it's another like 800 freaking cards. I got to go through list by hand, make sure I get the additions right. Like I just went through it to check, like, was there any unlimited in there? Mm-hmm. Went through the whole thing. It's alphabetized and everything. And there's only like, I don't know, 20 unlimited in there. So I pulled those out so that when I list, it's easier. It's always first edition, because boy, do I hate when I mess that up.
Yep.
Oh god, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Am I gonna like turn around and just find like a box under my bed of just like all this old school Fab stuff?
I did bring up my Fab bulk. I am gonna list it and see what happens. While I have the M still a decent amount. But my problem is I keep finding Fab M's. Like,
I mean, it's not a bad problem. Like, that's a good problem.
So like I had my playset box that I'd been selling out of, and then I'd pull M's from different decks that I had built, and then I'd pull M's from different things, and then we were cleaning out the office yesterday, and I found my trade binder full of M's.
That's exactly what keeps happening to me. Shit. Keep finding these binders or boxes that I set aside for some reason some time ago. Yeah, that was so weird because it was the weirdest shelf. It was not where any of my other cards were, and I was like, what is that box? It was apparently stuff I was either speccing on or like old stuff I wanted to make sure I held on to for a long time. So I don't know why I put it off to the side, but when I opened that, I was like, no!
Speaking of speccing on, something I also found while sleeping, while cleaning out. I uncovered a lot of things when we cleaned out the office. But speaking of specs, that Sleepy Pikachu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It'd go crazy.
Yeah. Market price is $8.74.
Nice. You got in at like under $1 or a couple
yeah,
of bucks.
It's like $2-3.
Yeah, it was pretty
And I
low.
have
I remember.
over 30 of them.
Yeah, I know. You have a whole binder, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe you can sell it. People buy it.
Yeah. I'm tempted to put up like 10 because I know other people spec on this card, and then they'll just pay a higher fee just to get 10 in one order.
Yeah, do it. Just to see what happens.
I mean, the TCG Direct price is $15.
I was gonna say, are you gonna cry if you sell 10 and still have the whole binder left? Like, do it. See what you can do.
Oh, yeah. I just thought it was funny.
It is funny. I mean, it's not surprising. It's how it works, right?
It's
the
a
whole
cute
game.
Pikachu art card, and it's older now. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
And
The
the
2-year
box it
mark
comes
hits,
in-
and everyone's like, "Oh, where's that card?"
the box it comes in is a $300 box.
Yep. Funny how these markets just do the same thing again and again and again and again and again. And again.
All I can say is I'm very excited for the next bear market of Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm actually like, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I want to buy again, but I know this is the wrong market. It's just I have that like itch, and I'm like, nope, not gonna buy because this is buying into the bubble. But boy, do I really! I'm looking forward to the next like crash. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be fun to pick up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think yeah, it's the wrong market for most things.
It is
definitely for Pokemon.
Yeah, I was
Definitely
gonna say maybe the latest set off of Pokemon Center, right, at MSRP or whatever.
No, it's
right?
not. No, it's not. The
What do you mean?
ETB's over $120
On the Pokemon Center?
on the new set.
I'm confused. Doesn't the Pokemon market always sell it at MSRP?
Yes, they do, but it's sold out within minutes of it going up for pre-order.
Yeah, but they print more runs, right? They always do reprints.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just, I mean, I guess you got to be on the trigger for it.
This new set thankfully doesn't have booster boxes, so you don't care.
Yeah, I definitely don't care about that. But I'm thinking like the next case that comes out, buy a case off the Pokemon Center sort of thing.
Yes, you could do
it's
that.
a 2 to 3 year wait, even though this market's crazy. The bubble will probably not last past the next few sets. I could be wrong on that, so take that with a giant grain of salt.
Yeah.
I don't know Pokemon. But you know,
Oh, yeah. I
buying
mean, if you
from
just
Pokemon
buy-
Center to just sit in the basement for a few years sort of thing seems like
Yeah.
the move. The other side of it is like the more recent sets like your Wilds of Eldraine.
But
and
those
stuff.
are going to be like 160.
Yeah, they're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I can get a bunch of it from Rudy at $91, right? So
Oh, no. Sorry. We switched to Magic. I was talking about booster boxes of Pokemon.
oh yeah. But point being, like the most recent stuff is probably safe to buy from these places and then just sit on with the intent of sitting on. You don't have to wait for a crash in that case.
No.
So
But like the new Prismatic Evolutions that's coming out, the ETBs are up to $147. These come with 9 packs.
yeah, as I say, that's crazy for an ETB, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. They MSRP for like $50.
That's
Special sets for like
stupid.
$60. It's over 200%, and it's not even out yet.
Dumb. Yeah, they're gonna print waves of this stuff, people.
People are buying it. This is going to be on Target shelves for $50.
This is gonna implode. This is so
Absolutely.
ready to implode.
It's yes.
I wonder how long it takes before this happens, because it's like it's clear that people are just going nuts, like doing stupid buys. Like, do not buy at 200% on something they're gonna print waves of and put in Target. Like, there's gonna be so much. Oh
Yeah.
my god, we've seen this so many times. It's kind of frustrating.
It's new money.
Yeah. Sad. Okay, well, people are gonna lose their shirts.
Yeah.
I'll take advantage of that when they lose it.
Yeah.
Sad. Don't be those people.
Yeah. No, don't.
Another strange market. Sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
Beta box is finally out of print.
Dang.
Yeah, even at Team Covenant, which took a long time because they got
out of print or out of
a
stock?
waves. What's that?
Out of print or out of stock?
Well, it's been out of print forever. It's out of
Yes.
stock. You can't get it anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. You said out of print.
Used to be out of stock only at Distro, but Distro kind of got less amount than Team Covenant, it seems. Like, that's the rumor. No one knows for sure, but it certainly seemed like it because people were buying cases from them like every week or every month, whatever it was allowed. And they kept having stock. They officially turned it off, sold out. So Alpha and Beta are now completely sold out, and what's on the market is all that's left. And obviously, what people have sitting in a closet waiting to speculate on, but that probably won't come to market till we see a move up. So now it's the timer, right? How long does it take to sell through what's online before the prices start to climb? I can say there's only about a dozen boxes before the beta box hits 200 a box, which frankly is down from where it was in the peak of the mania, right?
Sure.
I think it was 250 kind of generally speaking for a long time, but this is kind of the last flush out, which we always see. The prices drop. It's kind of that check mark that we talk about. Although this one
it shows demand is still there, which is good.
It is. And this just happened, so like it's gonna take a while for the news to hit, and some of these will pull down. Like I'm sure some of these will pull down to reprice it higher because they're like, oh, there's no more. Like I don't want to be the guy that sells it under the value that when
the last one to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we're gonna see a reshuffle of that market in the next couple weeks, whatever. I'm curious how much there is in this space. I hear rumor that people are still collecting. I don't know about sealed, but the different like special cards. Mm-hmm. They were really fun to open, and there was a lot of value. If you guys recall, when I did some openings of it, like so, it tended to be worth it to open. So I don't know how long these last in general, and how many are actually in closets. Because selling singles was definitely the move for a good chunk of time. I think by the second wave that I would say uninverted and became more normal where the box was better value. But that was around the second wave, and the second wave was somewhat small and is now gone. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm not specking on any of this. I'm not looking at this as like...
No, sorcery is your fun game.
What's that?
Sorcery is your fun game.
Yeah, exactly. I have two boxes of beta. One is to sit on the shelf, and one is to draft with somebody.
I'm here.
I know. We talked about this. So we're going to have to make a time to do it. But try to get a couple other people. There's at least one other person I know would be really interested in drafting with us. See if we can figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's a game that can be drafted, I'm in.
Yeah. Or, I'm not sure if it's draft or sealed. I don't remember.
Either way, limited.
Look up the rules.
Yeah. Either way is fine.
It is interesting to see that that's finally happened, and I just don't. The market on this is so slow. I don't see it being like a huge deal. I'm not like worried about the boxes becoming like crazy expensive overnight.
No.
Even
the demand is there, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah, and even
boxes
Alpha,
aren't selling today.
Super rare by comparison, has come down from its kind of peak. To about 1,000 from I guess 1,200, 1,250 I think was its peak. So yeah, even Alpha, which we know is super rare, is still just kind of in a flat market. It's not going up, and that's been out of print, out of stock for a long time. So like, then again, once you get to that 1,000 price point, it starts to scare away a good chunk of the market. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not too worried about it. I think they got enough out there. The singles are still very viable and affordable, with the exception of a few key cards that are just going to be the Black Lotuses, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I think beta gave a lot of access. It's definitely like a 10-to-1 on most of the cards. So like the beta version's like 10x less than, or vice versa. The alpha is 10x more than the beta version. So you can afford most of the cards and don't have to pay a ridiculous amount. Holy crap. I just looked at the singles. Some of these I'm going to have to go through my alpha. Holy crap. Some of these singles have gone nuts.
That's good.
Like, yeah, one of the Sorcerer Pathfinder, which I'm pretty sure I have. Now, granted, this is in foil. I'm not sure if I have it in foil. It's $1,300.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Not that anyone's going to buy it, but
yeah,
might be time to list some sorcery.
Yeah.
I did not realize the alpha singles. Like, I definitely have some of these. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I have to take a look at it. Because I will sell into any bubble, even things I love very much.
Yeah.
I don't love it that much. I love money more.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So alpha stuff is definitely spiking on the card side.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out. That would be fun. It'll be a fun little market.
So it's not just a player's market.
No, and it never has been. If you recall, there's always been a fair amount of collecting around.
Well, I know, but I mean, that's the concern, right? Do they stay? And it seems like they're staying, which is good.
It does seem like it, and I think the key to that was the art. Like they use
absolutely.
beautiful art.
Yes,
they use the Frazetta art, right? Which I know people just love.
And they tease out the Gothic, which I know people will love.
Yes. There's so much like really cool, like beautiful art pieces, and then the full art foils are really well done too. So very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think overall there's some really good collection around this. I'm curious about the gameplay over time. I heard a little bit about Ethereum Legends gameplay, but not a whole lot. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, like set 3, does it really bring players back? How does that go? I know they're trying to push for shops to adopt it more. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think this is a tabletop game that people play
you can't,
at home.
if beta boxes are gone or disappearing from distro and all you have is Arthurian Legends, which is the supplemental set.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the idea is to push for the next set or get people in place.
At the next set. Yeah. That makes sense.
So, but I don't know. Like, and again, they were never focused on the LGS from day one.
Right.
They said that they're like welcomed it because a lot of LGSs jumped in and got excited about it, but they weren't very focused on trying to make like an app to do, drafting. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't set up for LGSs. That was not the intent. It was something to enjoy around the kitchen table with your friends. And that is definitely kind of their core. Now maybe some of that has changed and they're trying to adjust for that, but with one set a year, it's a slow adjustment if it happens at all.
Yeah.
On to economics.
Bring it on.
All right. For those of you who stuck through it, there's only a few little pieces of information left. I think last week we had some fairly good news. I don't remember exactly what the data was, but it was something like, it's not as bad as it could be, or it may be a kind of a neutral situation right now. Well, I've heard some recent rumblings that give me a little concern, or at least have me paying closer attention to when and where and like what triggers it, sort of thing. The first thing that came up was a bunch of unemployment stuff. Now, this isn't hitting the data yet because it's like contemporaneous, but it's through various professional orgs and whatever. A lot of layoffs happening. Tech space, more tech layoffs, which we've already had some. And then in like manufacturing style stuff, logistics stuff, which that impacts everything because everything has logistics going on. If they're laying off, that means demand through logistics systems is down and they're preparing for difficulties in the new year. And so that makes me think they're seeing something in their data that says, we should cut back because it's going to be slim times. If that is true, and again, that's a rumor mill, so take it as rumor mill. Mm-hmm. If that is true, then that is a bad sign for other employment, because what happens is it trickle through the rest of the system, right? And others will then lay off because it's like they see demand's down and those things stop moving through and inventories get reduced and you don't need as many people in warehouses and those things get reduced, the demand from what those people buy and sell. You know what I mean? Like it goes through the whole system and slowly hits different parts of the economy. Now, who gets hit, how it gets hit, how much, how long, all those big question marks. But that was one of those like, when I said before we got to keep an eye on unemployment data. Mm-hmm. And then I start immediately hearing that, large layoffs are happening. I'm like, oh, okay, then that next unemployment print's probably going to look kind of bad. Maybe not super bad, but kind of bad. Some of that may be seasonal, though. Keep that in mind, because there is a seasonal
It's the new
hiring
year.
surge during the end of the year, and then a layoff at the beginning. So we'll have to look at the data when that comes out and see where that lands. The second thing that came up that I thought was important, and this is usually a leading indicator, so this is why I thought it was worth calling out, is credit card debt defaults are on the rise. That's data that you can pretty much find. Yeah, but that's pretty bad because since 2020 and the stimulus and all that sort of thing, Americans have been pretty cash heavy. Like they've had savings, they've had that sort of stuff. The savings vanished about 6 months ago. I started hearing like they're using debt, not savings anymore, sort of thing. Well, now 6 months in, you're starting to see that debt go into default
through the holiday season. And
yeah, which if it's defaulting, that becomes bad because that's where it's like, you can lose your house, you can lose this, you can lose that, whatever. Like it becomes a much more dangerous problem for the country because that's where you start to see like real strong contractions in demand, consumer demand, and contractions in demand equal all those layoffs that I was just talking about because that's the actually lead source of contractions in employment is there's no demand, right?
Right.
People don't need my logistics, they don't need my product, they don't need my inventory, so we have to lay off people to save money. So that's definitely a concerning flag. Again, these are just flags, so none of it's solid data yet. It's all early stage data or leading data, so keep that in mind. The last one, which actually probably gives me the most pause, and I don't know how important it is because of the timing of it, right? So this is a long-term indicator, i.e. the indicator hit a while ago, but it takes a while for everything to play out. And that is that the money supply has contracted. And I think this actually ended up happening at the end of last year is when it technically printed this data point. But it's a slow data because banking data. The M2 money supply contracted officially. And it's only happened 4 times in the last 150 years. Every time it's happened, there's been a depression with double-digit unemployment shortly after, like within the year, we'll say. It's just like the uninversion. It takes like 6 months to a year to play out. But you put in those other 2 factors that we're just talking about and it's like, okay, all the little signals are pointing to there's going to be a rise in unemployment and a contraction of the economy to some degree, kind of in 2025 is suspected. So just keep that in mind if you are out there purchasing boxes for the 5-year mark, things like that, cards, whatever. Just expect the value of your collection to go down, right? Because if there's less people employed or less people with extra money to spend on cards and stuff, there's less demand for those things.
Yeah. And
so therefore the prices will drop, assuming supply stays stable and or similar. Now, granted, we know that these big companies, Pokemon, MTG, all that, have been adjusting print runs specifically with some of that in mind from the overprinting years of everyone being at home.
You're seeing that in Magic.
Yeah. But will they have done enough to deal with an unemployment surge? Or will they have to adjust down again to keep that balance?
Or are they adjusting up again because of the demand?
Yeah. Exactly. Like this is the question mark.
Do they not read this and go back to normal? Yeah.
They move slow, so they could be reacting to something that happened a year ago, and it will just hit market now. And so we could get that confluence that we had in the last crash, which is like they printed to the level of demand that was happening, but then the level of demand fell off, and they were still printing to that level, and therefore prices like got nuked, right?
I mean,
as the Amazon
Pokemon
dumps
boxes.
and all that. Yeah. So that could end up happening again. Just keep an eye on it for the upcoming year. And on the good side of it, everyone's scared. I get greedy. If that does happen, there's some probable buy opportunities that are worthwhile if you can, park the capital for a couple of years and not worry about it. Now, just make sure you have storage space and all that stuff.
Yes.
Which is where
get yourself a shelf.
Ran up against issues.
Get yourself a shelf.
Yeah. And then be ready to sit on it, and that's all good and fine. But we'll see. This year has to play out, and these things, like I said, can take a year to play out. So it may end up being 2026 where we see this, right? Not 2025. So just but keep an ear to the ground, pay attention. If you start hearing all your friends are getting laid off, or people they worked with laid off, or whatever, that's where you start paying attention to like, okay, well, my LGS is going to be impacted because my LGS players are now looking for jobs or whatever, not going out and spending money on cardboard. So
especially
all
collector,
yeah, exactly. The high end,
not dropping $300 on a collector box.
Exactly. So just keep that in mind. Just something for the new year and where we are. And when I saw that third one, I was like, oh man, now it's kind of hard to pretend it's gonna be just fine for a while, right? Like it could be, but
It could be.
I think the odds of the next 6 months showing a recession of some sort, maybe not a full formal recession, but like some sort of decline or high unemployment increase, have gone up, right? Before I was probably like 50-50 in the next 6 months. Now I'm kind of like 40-60, you know?
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not huge. And until I see some numbers printed, I'm not going to lean into that too much, and definitely nothing towards moving things around money wise. Right. But I am already parked on some capital waiting for an opportunity. So like I'm positioned for a downturn if it happens quickly. But I'm not like over positioning for it, put it that way.
Yeah, I think we're doing very similar things.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think we talked about it last week. Like I have a third in highly liquid assets I can basically distribute into new things if there's discounts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm sitting. I don't want to put more than that because I want 60+% being taking advantage of the rest of this bubble, right?
Yeah.
This market uptick
Yeah.
that we're having, which has been fantastic returns.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's where we are. Cool. New data. I didn't expect to get any new data, so it was kind of interesting. Both of those happened at like right around the New Year's party, and talking to a bunch of people who are gamers and whatnot, and different types of employment, and just hearing like, yeah, everyone's seeing layoffs and struggles. I was like, oh, this is across industries. This is like, I know the types of industries they work in, and I'm like, oh man, this has impacts. Like this matters. Yeah. So I started listening a little closer to what was going on. That was the first little flag for me. And then I started seeing some data points like the credit card defaults and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be an interesting year.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Everything's still in the hold your breath and wait moment because everyone's got to see where these policies land. It's going to make a difference as to what industries get hit.
Of course. And I mean, not to get political, but he does very much care about the stock market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, for sure.
So, not that he has full control or anything, but
no, but he can do things that have an impact. Exactly. Like it does have an impact.
Exactly. So, well, anything else before we call this a podcast?
That's all I got.
Cool. Well, let us know what you think down below. And until next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.